I'm very happy today that all of us could gather here to welcome Dr. Khadar Vali, who is a pioneer in nutrition in the area of health, well-being, nutrition, and applied food basics, which some of it we have forgotten already, and it is his enormous zeal and his passion for reviving the things and for everybody to know, for everybody to implement and use it in their kitchens and just apply their minds to how we can scientifically and analytically use those in a very balanced manner to enrich our physical, mental well-being and health. So I'm very happy. We are, in fact, as on behalf of NSRIC, I'm very happy to welcome Dr. Khadar Vali. And I am also grateful to Professor Inamal Hussain for giving this great opportunity wherein we can be of service, of some potential use to people outside our domain, and then we can enrich each other's lives through interaction. So this is a great opportunity, and without taking more time, I would request Professor Inamul to start this session. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Aurora, the Divisional Head for Marketing of NSRIC Incorporation. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all the delegates and honorable guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I especially thank to Professor Khadar Vali, who is a world-renowned professor in the area of nutrition. We are very happy to see him to be in collaboration with NSRIC Incorporation, Canada. And I sincerely thank him to organize this webinar series. Hopefully, down the time, we would be regular in collaboration, and we wanted to make sure that his expertise, his service to the mankind are well recognized, well taken by the institution, so that we can spread the knowledge that he has can be benefited by the people in our community. Today is the era where sustainability is the most important parameter for our existence. As you know, the sustainability is directly related to the nature where we are surviving. So if nature is not in its true manner, as a living entity, we are really in challenge. It starts from living all the way to the death. Meaning, let's say we are every day taking food, whether the food is good for my health or not. We are breathing every millisecond, whether this air that we are taking is good or bad for our health. We are trying to live, we have house where interior design is good for health or not, and so on. We can set thousands of examples, whether these are really suitable, meaning sustainable for us as a living entity. As a human being, if this is the case, we can extend this concept to the every living entities. That is the reason today, one of the most, according to my understanding, this is the most #1 challenge for this planet, for the existence of the living entities. So we are here to hear from Professor Vali how his expert area, the nutrition, can help to, up to certain extent, definitely, to help us to be in the sustainable living. Without further time, thank you very much. I again welcome all of you to this forum, NSRIC, which is committed to disseminate knowledge to serve the mankind. I welcome everyone to be joining in this institution. Thank you very much for listening me.
I would like to welcome Dr. Khadar Vali, and I know all of you are waiting eagerly for his session. So I'll just request Dr. Khadar Vali to join us.
Yeah, yes. Thank you. Thank you very much. And it's my pleasure to be addressing all the august audience who are already actually very sensitive to the issues that are plaguing the humanity and in larger scale, the planet itself. And it was actually not obvious for the last, say, 50 years ago, we were not sure what we were doing. And we were not aware that the problems that we were facing were really coming from our own existence. And of late, in the last 20, 25 years, it's very obvious for each and every human being on this planet that the issues that we are creating are all due to our existential problems, that the way we have been conducting in the last 100 years is the main reason for our problems, be it global warming, be it nutritional depreciation, be it the health degradation of the humanity all over the planet. All these things are all connected, and we have been very sincerely dividing ourselves in the name of science, in the name of religion, in the name of whatever parameters that we are looking at. We are all connected on this planet. And because we have been conducting ourselves in a very compartmentalized fashion, be the division be by continent or culture or religion or whatever it is, but we all are actually should be integrating our knowledge such that the basic principles of nature are continuing to be amenable for the living things on this planet. And I personally believe we have lost that particular thread that we could hold and say future generations could be happy. And that thread is now breaking. And we need to be very urgently involved. I had a doubt. So these many layers are interconnected. Sustainability is the main issue, as the earlier, the introductory remarks, Professor clearly mentioned. And without sustainability, we are going to be at loss in the coming years. I believe that number of years is not even 10 to 15 years. If we do not conduct ourselves properly in the coming 15, 20 years, we are going to be at loss. And the basic reason, without mincing words, is the consuming culture of human race on this planet in the last 40, 50 years. So we need to be setting ourselves strictly to conserving culture. And this conserving culture, the essential parameter is sustainability. And for sustainability, it is the conservation of everything, whatever it is, matter, energy, food, forests, everything have to be looked at conserving things. But what we have done in the last 40, 50 years, in the name of technology and science, assuring ourselves that we are going to maintain our existence on this planet, we have been consuming, be it the oils, that is the completely evaporating all the petrol or diesel industry, has been very aggressive in doing things the way we are doing. And then we come up with atomic energy, we come up with solar energy, we come up with wind energy, we come up with the wave, that is our ocean energy. All these energies, while producing, we keep claiming it is green technology, but in its true sense, we are creating imbalance, local as well as global, and we find that out over a period of time. So initially we all think, oh, we are shifting to a green technology, but at the end of the day, because we have not maintained the essence of sustainability, and that is zero waste, that is the crux of the matter. So we have not actually got focus into all the technologies and the parameters at which we have to assess. And this assessment procedures are completely not understood and set up. So we are finding out things after doing the mistake. And so essentially the science and the learning processes have not taught us parameters that can be set in place before the technology is rolled out. And this is the basic problem with the human race at present, at this juncture. So we need to get into that. And that being the case, whether it is food production, whether it is energy production, whether it is something else, all these parameters have to be in place. So I set out to practice this zero waste, sustainable, and sovereign. This is another important concept that is very important. These are all intertwined, you know. There is nothing like one is better than the other, one is more important than the other, because when you look at the integrated concept, even a small pin in this whole thing becomes very important if it is not performed properly. And that is the most important thing, which we in the last 30-40 years have been not taking care of. The small things, put it aside, under the carpet, you know, all these issues have been happening. And that's why we face after 20-30 years, oh, this technology is not viable, or this technology is not green. You know, this is the problem that we are facing. So the integrated overall approach where there is zero waste. And why zero waste? That is the way nature works. And we, being part of this nature and this planet, if we don't design our technologies, our living, our way of doing things to synchronize with that principle, we're always theoretically going to produce something disastrous. And that's what is happening. So this being the background, how do we produce food? Because without producing the food properly, what I mean by sustainably, we are not going to be in sync with the nature's principles. Have we done that? We have not done that, because we have been producing monoculture. So the whole human race right now is concentrating 4 to 5 products. That is rice, wheat, sugarcane, and the byproducts through which you produce meat, whether it is cat meat or pig meat or cow's meat. Culturally, each place is designed to do something, whatever way they want, they do. But we are producing in large quantities a single product. So there is that imbalance created both locally and global level. So right now, the whole world is eating, which is being taken over by the food corporate culture. They are producing rice, wheat, and sugarcane in large quantities and endangering the soil fertility. To produce monocultural crops, we started using a lot of pesticides, lot of fertilizers, lot of, pesticides are 3, insecticides, herbicides, and fungicides. So all these are chemicals basically coming from petrochemical industry. The waste of petrochemical industry, by chance, the war technology created the fertilizers. So whatever was left in the war materials, we created fertilizers. So we found a nice connection. See, this is the consuming culture we created. We made bombs, and the bombs have to be used in the war within a year, called shelf life. If not, you have to disperse and then take it out and produce new bombs. So you're producing new bombs. Wars are not there all the time. So whenever there is war, even if there is no war, because we have produced war material, war culture is created. So you keep making somewhere or the other on the planet, war is going on. As we speak now, there is war. And then we create and remove the bombs that are not used in the war and make it into fertilizers. And then pesticides, and then so in large numbers and large quantities, and all over the world, these fertilizers are centralized fashion. Logistically, it is a very bad model to produce things in a centralized fashion and then disperse it to different places. And that's what is happening all over the world, both in terms of food or war materials or some technological advances. Because the centralization is the essence of all our problems, which is the core parameter for consuming culture. Because nature doesn't produce things in a centralized fashion. It produces all in local and different varieties depending upon the different cultural, geological, all parameters are different. So all these things should have been understood by now by the human race, if not all the people, intellectuals or universities or whatever, professors, scientists. We should have been setting in these parameters. So when we produce sugarcane, we have actually damaged the fertility of the soil to 8%. All over the world, we have used almost approximately 18 to 23% of the soil to produce sugarcane. And to produce sugarcane, water is used in enormous quantities. 1 kilo of sugar to make, you need to use 28,000 liters of water. 28,000 liters of water. And that is the damaging aspect of we all using sugar. And all over the planet, every human being is sugar on a daily basis. And is it necessary for us to use sugar? Biochemistry clearly says penultimate product of our digestion is sugar. Sucrose is sugar. So you are not supposed to put 1 milligram of sugar in your mouth, but we are using tons and tons of it on a daily basis. And this is very unscientific because we are used to that sugar. We continue to produce in large scales, despite that being very bad for health, which is creating glucose imbalance. See, you need to see all this as a integrated things. So we have started sugar production in large quantities, and because these companies want us to consume, no scientist is saying don't use sugar. It is being so much used all over the planet that tons and tons of it is consumed on a daily basis, producing it very unsustainably, making the soil infertile, completely making it absolutely infertile. While doing so, because we are using a lot of fertilizers, we are producing global greenhouse gases, methane, nitrous oxide, carbon dioxide in large quantities, and slowly increasing the temperature of the planet. And just not sugarcane, the same thing holds good to paddy rice as well as wheat. These are produced in much larger quantities than sugarcane. So that means the damage done by these three crops alone is 33%. India has actually lost 21% of agriculturable land, and we have made into desert in the last 23 years. 1999 to 2021, we have lost 21% of agriculturable land. Now we cannot sow a seed and make a plant grow because of this hardcore modern agricultural practices which India has embraced in the last 30-40 years. And I am sure the stories are the same in each and every part of all the planet. There is no much difference. This has been demonstrated in America as well as in Japan, as well as in China. China is worse condition right now. The agricultural land is being lost in such a rapid way that there is no way anyone can retake replenish the soil in such a fast fashion. So you see, we have imbalanced glucose imbalance in the bodies of the human race, which has been pumping in the blood glucose in large quantities because we are eating rice, wheat, and sugar, which does not have any fiber in its content. So it releases glucose in very fast fashion. And our blood glucose level should be 5 grams in the total body at any given point of time, 5 to 6 liters of our blood. But we are pumping in 50 grams, 25 grams, 30 grams. When you eat an egg, when you eat a piece of chicken, when you eat a piece of loaf of bread, or when you eat dosa or Indian dishes, or falafel, whatever, wherever you go, you are eating very same material in 100 to 200 grams, which releases 50 to 60 grams of blood glucose, which then imbalances your system. All the internal endocrine gland system goes haywire. It becomes emergency condition, and it starts triggering production of high cholesterol, production of high aromatic factors, production of glycogen, production of fat material, production of extra protein, because it has to take care of the flooded glucose. It starts converting it into different products. And this highly elevated production of products releases one after the other diseases in our body. When you have higher glycogen, the fat metabolism is disturbed. When the high amount of protein, your kidney is disturbed. When you have high sugar in the blood incorporated into the hemoglobin, you have HbA1c increasing, you have diabetes set in. So the cholesterol, extra cholesterol being deposited in the blood vessels, you have blood pressure being created. So all these modern day diseases are created because the human bodies, human race has chosen as its main food rice, wheat, sugar, and meat products that are secondary produced by these materials so far. And in between, in the last 30-40 years, we are not able to produce these commodities because large amounts of water is required to be produced. So we started building dams everywhere. To build dams, we started mining. To mine, because by then the drilling technology, mining technology became very heavy. So we started mining the whole planet and getting the iron, getting the metals, and then started building huge projects using these materials and making cement, which is actually producing the maximum amount of pollution on this planet. But we have no concern because we just want to consume. And in the name of giving food in large quantities for people, we have actually overstepped. And in the amount of food produced now is good enough for 5 to 7 planets if we distribute properly. Even the same rice, even the same sugarcane, even the same meat, whatever we are doing. This is the problems we have created in making everything centralized fashion. And all these are controlled by this few big corporations. And everyone is forced to eat, whether you like it or not, all these food materials and getting into sickness. So this is when my mind was blown away. Why are we making these simple mistakes of eating something which produces glucose imbalance? And that glucose imbalance leads to microbial imbalance in our guts, which actually are the friends for us to take care of many biochemical reactions. And then we can actually be healthy. So we have created glucose imbalance, which in turn switched on the microbial imbalance. When you have both these operating, our hormones are getting disturbed because we have started using milk, which is produced with the help of hormones, estrogen, oxytocin, all these things. Unnaturally, we are GMO. Actually, it is genetically modified food. Milk is number one. People are not talking about it. In fact, it is the milk that is the GMO. People are now talking soybean is GMO, corn is GMO. The soybean and corn are now recent food materials after the herbicide glyphosate became very popular. All over the world, they are producing soybean in large quantities, saying that human body requires a lot of protein. That's why they genetically modified soybean to give 36% of protein. in the name of herbicide use glyphosate. They've had all these genetic modifications in the name of increasing the yields. And then we started eating these materials and creating the genetically modified protein molecules disturbing our DNA, causing carcinogenesis. So we have added one more wonderful disease called cancer to the world. So when we started these layers of technologies in the food production methods, is slowly causing all these diseases, local and global imbalance. In fact, now in India, we have 36% of people who are diabetic, 40% of people are blood pressure patients, and 16% people are already carcinogenic, and another 30% is supposed to be tabled to be in next 5-10 years. They are going to be cancerous conditions. So this has all happened because of our food choices and food production methods. Despite all this information, we are not ready to correct. Course correction has to happen. Actually, it should have happened 30-40 years ago. Did not happen because women started menstruating at the age of 6 and 7 in many foreign countries apart from India. But unluckily, even in India now, because these technologies were little delayed coming into our country, but they are already here now, we are also starting to face the same problems that the West faced, or any country which imported all these technologies for food production and consumption. We are facing the same diseases, and it's very happy for the pharmaceutical industry because they are able to sell their so-called managing medicines all over the world, and their profits are waking up. And this is how things are happening. This is the background. But then how do we solve these problems? We have created imbalance in every dimension of our existence. And I have only talked anthropocentrically. And now if we extend our life is equal to other forms of life, whether be it an ant, be it a honeybee, be it a whale in the ocean, be it a tiger in the forest, then our problems are much more, actually, much more, because you cannot see other animals dying. And it's that we are devastating their habitats, be it the ocean. We have been able to pollute them with plastic, so much so that it is calculated the oceans are contaminated to almost 3% by plastic. And the ocean life is devastated. A lot of distortions, a lot of disabled animals are being produced off late in the ocean. And our water bodies, glaciers, everything is getting contaminated with our chemicals that are using in our agricultural industry. Sadly, the penguins in the South Pole are supposed to be recording accumulation of glyphosate in its blood. That is the damage that we have been able to manage in the last 40-50 years. And we are still not recognizing these damages, imbalances that we have created within ourselves and in the other systems of living things. In fact, many of the organisms have disappeared, become extinct. We have no concern because our existence is the focus. And we are here sitting in many of the universities and intellectual discussions. We are not considering things in a holistic way. And it is our food choices of sugarcane, meat, producing them in large artificial manner, which is the source of all this global imbalance. So how can you correct without addressing these issues? Be it petrochemical industry, be it war industry, be it agri-industry, be it food production and distribution industry, all these are interrelated, one to the other, one on to the other. It's this. And the same way, everyone is aware of what is called butterfly effect. In an Amazon forest, if 100 butterflies fly at the same time, you can feel the effect of it in India also. It gets translated, transcribed, transmitted in different dimensions. So we are happily, in fact, in our India, we have lost so much wildlife that we are counting tigers on fingertips. Right where I live, the forest had, sadly, we are counting them on fingertips. Now we have got 670 tigers. We are happy because they were only 380 before. Last 4 years or 5 years, people are aware and then start trying to increase the tiger population by doing things. So actually they were in thousands and thousands of tigers were there in our Mysuru area. So this is the way we are creating by our consumption culture. We are consuming things in large quantities. In fact, Dr. Emmanuel clearly mentioned even our interior decorations and interior settings of houses have become consuming culture. Whether it is necessary or not, we are continuing to dump things that are into our houses, and the gases that are being produced interiorly are also becoming harmful for us. The production cost, the imbalance cost set aside, we are creating health issues by just the way we are decorating our interiors in all parts of the world. So this is the story so far. This is the background. And how do you get out of these things? So we need to find solutions, in short, in a very nutshell, because different layers have to be tied together. So water consumption, because of rice, wheat, sugarcane, and other agricultural produce, we are using 8,000 liters to produce 1 kilo of rice, 10,000 liters to produce 1 kilo of wheat. This is an average of all over the world I'm talking about. And meat, to produce 1 kilo, we need to use 50,000 liters of water. Now I am trying to communicate to you people, this water units is the parameter which tells the damage that we are doing to nature. Because what is nature? After all, 5 elements. That is the story from Indian culture: water, soil, air, fire, and space. These are called Panchabhutas, 5 elements that make the nature, without which nothing exists. So the fire element, the air element, the water element, the soil element, and the space element make all things possible on this planet, or any planet for that matter. It is the combination and the ratios of these 5 elements that make things happen. So if the fire element is larger, we see dry planets. If the water element is more, we see a planet like Earth. So these are adbhuta, we call wonderful combinations of this. So we are slowly now losing the water content because of higher temperatures, traveling towards the fire element more. And already we have some planets which have experienced this fire element, and now they are really fiery planets. So we hope we do not join them slowly and steadily. But now in the last 40, 50 years, we are actually racing towards that. So it's high time to first reduce the evaporation of water. And to do that, we need to consume, to produce these food materials in very large numbers, we have to reduce. So that is where I set in to start searching for the producing food which consumes the least amount of water, And that's when the millets came into picture in my research. So I chose millets production, and then I started working on them in the field and tabled them. The least of the water consumption is there are 5 millets: kodo millet, little millet, barnyard millet, brown top millet, and barnyard millet. These 5 millets use to produce 1 kilo, 200 to 300 kilos of water. 200 to 300 liters of water to produce 1 kilo. In fact, in India, we don't use any water, irrigation water. We actually sow when the monsoon comes, and when the monsoon is over, we are able to harvest. So that means practically zero water consumption to produce this food. Can we produce enough for 7 billion people, this food? And if we can actually sow these 5 grains any part of the planet, from the range of these planets is 10 degrees temperature we can produce, up to 45 degrees centigrade we can produce. That means foxtail millet actually can be produced at the temperature ranges of 40, 45. Whereas rice and wheat, the range of the temperature is very narrow. It is between 20 to 30. In fact, wheat is actually 12, even 10 to 20. So that means if you go beyond this, your yields will come down. However, technologies, whatever you use. So that's what we are facing in the last 20, 30 years, because the temperatures are rising 1 degree, 2 degree every 10, 20 years. The yields of wheats have come down. Actually, 32% of yield production is reduced in the last 10 years, slowly and steadily. These are the dangers we are facing. So if you start using the least amount of water for producing food, that food should be selected as your main staple food. When these 5 millets, in fact, finger millet is also good millet for your production, as well as it requires 1,000 liters of water. That means 3 times more than these 5 millets. And coincidentally, finger millet has got 3.6% of fiber associated with the carbohydrate, whereas these 5 grains have got 8%. Foxtail millet has got 8% fiber. Barnyard millet has got 10% fiber. Brown top millet has got 12.5% of fiber. So when you have high fiber and carbohydrate interlinked, the release of glucose into your blood is very slow and steady. So at any given point of time, when you consume these 5 millets separately each day, 1 or 2 days once, there is no glucose flooding in your blood. And that is the most important regulation, control that we get in our body. And that's what creates health. So what we have done, if this theory is right, we need to take 100 diabetic patients and feed them this food. Lo and behold, within 3 months, we have reversed diabetes. People who are taking insulin started leaving insulin because their glucose levels got balanced, and their HbA1c, which was 12, became 5 or 6 within a matter of 3 months to 6 months. Depending upon the other habits of the patient, we have been able to help 99% of these patients 3 months to 6 months. And people who are actually diabetic for 20 years, we have taken 1 or 2 more years to completely reverse the problem. And we have done this with all the diseased conditions of human race that are present, and we have tabled them in our PDF, which we have already distributed to you people, be it hemorrhoids, be it blood pressure, be it HIV infection, be it cancerous conditions of various cancer. Almost 20 cancer conditions have been listed. And we have also figured out some of the decoctions that are present in and around our local areas that could work as cleaning our system such that we receive healing in our bodies. So all these experiments, these are all done by sheer experiments. In the last 25 years, we have healed so many patients with a lot of results, and very good results. And so now I am so thoroughly convinced that our food, the human gut, requires an entity which can release food, which can release glucose into our blood slowly and steadily. And that is done by God in the form of arranging the fiber and carbohydrate in a very layered fashion, such that our digestive system gets glucose in a regulated way at the end of the day. So when you put flour or meal of these 5 millets, the amylases, the hydrolysis of the carbohydrates whatever they do, they have to take time and release glucose in a slow and steady manner. When you eat rice or wheat or drink milk, the problem is otherwise. It is released in a 15 to 20 minutes manner. So how do I say this is right? So we did a wonderful, small, simple experiment. We took diabetic patients and fed them all these grains, 20 grains. Each 10 group of people, we fed finger millet and collected their urine after 1.5 hours. It's called renal tolerance test. When you collect, if you see glucose coming into the urine of that patient, that means it is not holding the glucose properly. So when we feed foxtail millet, the glucose doesn't appear in the urine of this HbA1c 10 patient, diabetic patient. So we tabled the whole grains based on this renal tolerance test. First 5 millets that consume the least amount of water and also give glucose very slowly and steadily, because the ratio of fiber to carbohydrate is single digit. So it is releasing slowly and steadily. So the glucose coming into the blood and then coming into the kidneys and then throwing out into urine is almost taking 3 to 4 hours. So we continue to check. Only after 4 hours, we find glucose traces in these patients. So we have actually tabulated and created positive millets. That means the millets that renal tolerance test does not give glucose in 1.5 hours. It takes longer time. And the renal tolerance test, if they are giving within 2 hours or 1.5 hours, that kind of millets are called neutral millets. And then rice and wheat come out as negative grains, because within 15 to 20 minutes, you see the glucose coming into the urine. So this is the simple experiment that we have used to tabulate, and hundreds and hundreds of patients correspond to this tabulation. And this is only a simple 3-hour experiment, but then it has to translate. This is local. This has to translate into healing the processes, healing the diabetic content. So we started feeding these 5 millets, 2 days foxtail millet, 2 days this kodo millet, 2 days barnyard millet, and found after 3 months their HbA1c itself started falling down, and their use of all these glucose controlling, managing tablets or insulin to remove glucose from the blood is all slowly came down. And so the patients became medicine free. Their healing was complete. And now we have patients for the last 15, 20 years using the millets, doing very much fine, not even visiting doctor once in their whole 15 years. Absolute control of all the health parameters. The glucose is not converted to glycogen and fat, so BP issues are removed, the cholesterol issues are removed, and the nervous system getting cleaned up, because the balance of the oils that I have talked about in the last meeting, that we are producing them naturally without using any energy. The bulls that we are used to in our farming activities, we started using them back again, like what we used to do before 100 years ago to produce oils, the edible oils. But of late, I am thoroughly convinced that the diesel industry, the refinery industry is actually mixing them, adulterating the edible oils with all the left out mineral oils. And that is very sad story, because it is producing a lot of diseases, including the ADHD, differently abled kids, and hole in the heart, because most of our internal organs are actually good combination of fat, protein, and carbohydrates. So the heart, hole in the heart, liver not functioning, brain not being properly assembled when the baby is growing, because the mothers, the pregnant mothers are eating all these wrong foods. And on top of it, we have had this absolute mayhem created by alcohol consumption, nicotine consumption, and now of late, we have also added these drugs, alkaloid drugs, whether it is opioid drugs or marijuana, all these things. The high use of these kind of addictive drugs is also telling the production of the kids that we are producing in the last 15, 20 years, the health of them. In fact, we are producing juvenile diabetes to the 8% of the kids are now juvenile diabetic. That means the pancreas is not functioning as they are born within 3-4 years. So these are all the problems which we can actually solve by changing our food, not giving more and more medicines and trying to manage them. So here, by choosing the least disturbing, natural, sustainable model of this production, because we are not disturbing the nature, we are using just the rains. And even if you have no rain, you need only to wet the land that you are producing these millets once in 4 days for half an hour. So that's how I calculated the amount of water that we require for 1 acre and the yields. And then we came to the number of 300 liters per kilo. So this is the sustainability. This is how you conserve. You are not disturbing the nature at all. Here we are taking water as the essence of well-being of nature. So imagine 10,000 liters and 300 liters. That means if to produce 1 kilo of wheat, you can produce almost 25 to 30 kilos of this food. And this 30 kilos of food can supply minimum of 150 people food, whereas this 1 kilo of wheat can give you only 5 people. That means we are talking about 1:30 approximately. That means if 30 people can eat with the amount of water we are now consuming in for 5 people, 1:30, 5 to 150. So that is the consuming culture. Now, what did I do? By choosing the millets, we have reduced to 30 times. That means if we are spoiling nature, though this 30 years, that means I have eaten 30 years if one person is eating 1 year, the rice or wheat. This is the sustainability. This is the conserving nature. This is the integrity of the planet. So, and we are not using any energy, zero waste, because the produced grass is actually we are feeding our animals. And the animals that are actually giving the dung is again put back in our fields. You see this cycle? No waste, zero waste. And even to produce our oils, we use the same bulls. There is no energy required. And then the waste that is produced after pressing, we are mixing with our millet husk, making it feed for the animals. So absolutely no waste left, zero waste, zero waste. So to produce oils, to produce this, and to produce sweet, we have discovered wonderful trees called pomaceae trees, be it fishtail palm, silver date palm, palm, like that. There are 6 varieties of pomaceae trees which grow without anyone's intervention all over the planet. Wherever there is streams of rivers growing, streams of backwaters. In fact, in India, just Kerala, we have enough coconuts that can supply almost India and China. So the sweet element, which we are not supposed to eat more, but the sweet of these palm jaggeries is actually loaded with fructose, not glucose. So what it means is that if we shift from sugarcane sugar to palm jaggery sugar, we are solving the problem of glucose imbalance as well as creating a product which does not increase glucose in your body. And fructose, whatever little is being absorbed, otherwise it just gets out of your body because it is water soluble. What a wonderful material that God has given. But we have completely eliminated that because it doesn't suit the production being in a single centralized fashion. This is the solution. So when you say these are problematic and why they are problematic, we have figured out and analyzed these are the reasons. So if you eliminate these causes, we will be able to figure out in nature the materials, the alternative materials, which basically are native to each local. So now we are actually creating from global imbalance to local imbalance can be removed. So I have worked out this way or that way, both ways. It's a cycle. And in fact, in nature, everything is cyclic. There is nothing like this is first, that is second. This came later, that came later. No, everything is cyclic. So we need to think in this cyclic fashion. Are we creating the connections in nature? And this is the beauty of following nature. And what is the essence of nature? Zero waste. And this is the sustainability. So we keep blabbering the word sustainability. How does it happen? Sustainability is a word that we are imagining, but how does it happen in practice, in the field, when you create that zero waste? The sustainability happens when we create zero waste technologies, zero waste vision, zero waste doing things. In fact, your living should be zero waste. And that's how I started connecting all these dots. So whenever you produce something, am I causing the least consumption, even produce my food? That's where you start connecting to nature. So your agriculture practices have to be set in tune with nature. So I actually started developing a technique called jungle farming, where actually make our soil ready to capture all the water that comes, not even a drop escapes. So instead of building big dams, you start creating small ponds, small trenches within the 10 acres of your land. And I have created a place where I don't need water from anywhere. In fact, I don't need anything from anywhere. I started growing big trees, half of the land, and the land produces the nitrogen requirement, the phosphorus requirement, all these things, because the roots of big plants go deep into the soil, 30 feet, 40 feet, 50 feet. So the layers of the earth is supplying different kinds of elements, be it phosphorus, be it potassium, be it manganese, be it magnesium, whatever you name. It is undeniable, non-stop supply of all these nutrients. And those leaves and the small sticks that fall onto the ground when they get dried up, we capture that and add into our open lands so that the humus is always being supplied. Again, zero waste technologies. So when it rains, it becomes humus. When it is sun, it dries up, and all the lavanas, salts, and are all created into the soil, and the humus is ready. When the first monsoon rains come, we till the land and add all our growing, whatever food materials we require, we start. And the beauty is we don't need anything in our farming other than 5 to 6 rains and a small part of it being a forest. And that's why I called this jungle krushi, jungle farming. So now we are able to produce sustainably without anyone's intervention. Now it's been actually for 10 years or so. Even today, I can just go till the rain comes and I produce my food. In fact, I produce my food once in 2 years. I don't even go and work on that field. The plants are going, the trees are growing, lot of animals, lot of snakes, lot of, in fact, I went 3 to 4 weeks back or so, I found a leopard in my forest, happily settled down in the cool environments. So, and that's the beauty. And in fact, I received a call 1 year ago in this Corona time, we were not able to go. People from there that there is a tiger in your forest. And my forest is a small place, 4 or 5 acres, which is very far away, more than 20 kilometers from the real forest, where we have our tigers now. So they actually are just strolling around, and then whenever they find nice environment, they start. So actually I created a small 4 acres of forest, put a fence. I don't even myself go there. But whenever in the summer, before the leaves, we have to get our sustainable humus condition in our open fields where we grow our food, we go and collect for 15 days and put it here. And that's it. So this is how I have eliminated any need of anything from elsewhere, and I can produce food for 100 people anytime I want. And if we work in the smaller and units, 10 acres, 15 acres, 20 acres, all over the planet, any land can be actually converted to food producing materials. But with the present day mining, dams and all, only few percentage, even Israel can only claim 18 to 20% of agriculture, whatever small amount of land they have. They cannot give irrigation for a whole material. So in India now the irrigation can be only given to 11% according to the numbers that the government provides. Maybe with more technology and finer usage of technology, you may increase it to 15 to 16%. All over the world, these are the numbers. That means you can never, ever use all the planetary soil as food producing place. So when you do this sustainable, conserving cultural practices, the food producing area increases without disturbing nature, because all other animals, other living things help you. In fact, how does growing millets help to regenerate, replenish these soils that are being completely spoiled by these fertilizers, pesticides, and agricultural practices is as simple as this. When the millets start growing, actually brown top millet starts making the pinnacle and the grains in a matter of 60 days. So in the 60 to 75 days space, that is 15 days space, thousands of birds visit these particular places. They consume some of the millets that are just being formed. And once the millets have become thick and grain is formed, the birds do not eat that actually. So 3 to 4 days while the grain is forming, lot of birds visit and then they happily eat. And while they go away, they actually bless the land with their droppings. And these droppings are like gold mine for the land, because they produce the wonderful microbes that you need to replenish in the soil, and wonderful salts, wonderful insects, everything. And when the birds visit, a lot of insects are gone away, because they not only take the grain, they also clean up the insects that can pathogenically work for you. So again, this smart use of the millets, the birds come into play, which no one can attract. Only the, so you have 1,000 acres of millets growing, you see the birds coming, and then the land becomes fertile. In fact, we have done this in Gunturu, very hot place. We took sand and then we just sprinkled a little cocoa peat and grew these wonderful millets, all 5 millets, and we started seeing the birds coming. And even the sand, because of the droppings of this thing, started becoming fertile. So we have found a technique in large scale. In fact, we can actually huge 10,000 acres. We can use drone technology and then spread these seeds. All the spoiled, including mining lands, we can actually replenish back to fertile lands by using millets as the initial crop. After that, you can actually plant big trees and make the land into again forest. So you can in fact see we are slowly figuring out from desert to regenerating the fertile land. So this is how a conserving culture, sustainable methods, when you figure out the zero waste, you start plugging the holes. So it's not just we are creating or removing the local imbalance. We can actually slowly and steadily work up with this model to create global balance. But then to do that, everyone has to start consuming these wonderful millets. And in fact, when you go back and do research and see that almost all over the planet, people were using these millets. Such a wonderful thing that I figured that out. In fact, even in America, even today they are growing in Colorado brown top millet, but sadly they are feeding to the birds. See, this is the sad story. And I went to Nigeria. They are actually almost African countries. Most of them, even today in remote villages, they are still eating millets. Many of different kinds of millets. So we need to refine them and give them the proper information and make them use these 5 millets. Their health parameters will improve in a matter of 6 months to 1 year. And nutritionists, people call me nutritionist. Actually, I don't like the word nutritionist because this nutrition word is used in a very commercial way in many places. I don't like, I'm not like nutrition, vitamin B, vitamin T, vitamin D. This is small, this is less. You provide tablets. No, that's not nutrition. Nutrition is something that has to take care of the planets, lands, the animals, the birds, the human beings. Everyone has to be nutritionally fit. And that can be done through the use of these millets. In fact, we have provided the list of scientific data about all these millets. They in fact contain lignans, which are the most beautiful antioxidants that can even remove carcinogenicity from your body. Even if your DNA is stuck with this undigested protein, animal protein, we are able to sustainably remove that slowly and steadily. We have had wonderful results with blood cancer, fibroids, that is uterus cancer, brain cancer, bone cancer. In fact, recently we have had very successful stories from mouth cancer, because of late in India, these people started these drugs putting into the mouth, and the tobacco plus other things, and mouth cancers are increasing in our southern part. Many of this, we have had wonderful results with mouth cancer also. So all these kinds of issues are actually interrelated and integrated. See, I'm not working to heal people. I'm working to produce a sustainable living patterns such that future generations can be benefited using these models. So many people actually think I am a millet man of India, or this, or nutritionist, or food expert, or a good doctor. But actually, I am not wanting to be one of this. I want to be a human being who minds very consciously, being aware the problems that we have created, and I'm aware, with awareness, working towards evolving methods and models to create and conserve the beauty of nature, and to make future generations live in peace with nature. So at the end of the day, I figured out making machines and missiles does not give peace and joy to the planet, whereas growing millets and plants does. So I intend to stop at this juncture. I hope I have given you, in fact, my presentation, I am striving to present it as a holistic package, not bit by bit. So that's how I keep jumping from here, there, here, and all. But that's the way things are actually. It's not that nutrition, it is agriculture. This is food, this is health, that is this. No, it doesn't work that way. We have to understand things on a sustainable, holistic, sovereign. That means each and every piece of land on this planet has to have the freedom of growing what they want, what they should eat. And that's the way it should be. And that is the most scientific way of doing things, because that's what creates local balance and global balance, and does not leave any waste. Thank you very much for your patient listening. Thank you all. And all the information, we have put it in terms of PDFs, and I've already supplied to Dr. Poonam. I hope she has already distributed the information, and how to cook, what kind of disease requires what kind of decoctions, what kind of food pattern, everything we have diligently tabled in all the materials. So anyone is actually, I just heard before the lecture started, someone is over bleeding and she was admitted to hospital. Basically that is connected to hormone imbalance There is a protocol in the book. If you were to follow, within 3 days should have been all right. Thank you all.
Sir, thank you so much. And I am sure that we have I have also have questions to ask. So we open the session for questions and answers. And please raise your hands, whoever, yeah.
Thank you very much, Professor Vali. It is indeed a wonderful presentation which can serve, I would say, billions of people. But I have a question. You see, genetically modified foods processing, including the growing in the agricultural land, there is a reason behind it, and this reason is valid. The simple reason is the simple reason is 100 years back.
You're hitting the nail.
Yeah, thank you. So the simple reason is, let's say, imagine 100 years back, what is the total population of this planet?
Yes.
1,000 years back, what was the total population of this planet?
Yes.
Today, what is the population of this planet? So if we see the trend, it is, I would say, more than exponentially growing living entity as a human being. Now, how to feed those people? This is a real challenge. And we have limited agricultural land, as you correctly mentioned. We have limited, very limited reusable water, which is the life of the every living entity. So where to balance? That is the reason science. On the other hand, it gives people at least to feed.
Yeah, I understand the question. In fact, I worked in the DuPont company for 5 years, and this is the premise on which they keep harping. But the real point is that it is not going to solve our problem. It's not solving our problem because we are not going to be able to produce, because this genetically modified organisms, production of food is not consistent. Let me put it that way. So for 1 or 2 years, the whole technology works, and after that it breaks away because the genetically modified plants or animals are not stable, because they are unstable. So every 1 or 2 years, you have to be on the run to produce something better, just like iPhone 10, iPhone 12, iPhone 13. That's the economic model they are dealing with, and they are happy. These food culture, food practices, and food scientists, they are happy because they are in business. They are in business because they are patenting the GM products and then making money like that. So, but the problem, the solution is not there, basically, because even if you have GM foods, it's not going to feed the whole planet. So we need to find natural solutions. So I know we are ballooning population. So we have to find other way. You start doing things such that the least amount of natural sources being used and produce maximum amount of efficient food. And that's what the millets fit the bill. That means even in Dubai, even in Sharjah, I can make this food produced for that number of people because there is enough land. Only we have to figure out how to make it a regenerative thing. So with little amount of cocoa peat and very little amount of water, we can actually start producing food for all the Gulf area people. And these kinds of experiments are required, which I have done whatever little in the last 25 years. And this exposure. So now imagine in Canada, they have maple trees. They are all being wasted. And maple trees can provide, the maple trees in Canada alone can give sweet for America and Canada. So that's it. And now come to Indonesia and Malaysia. The palm trees that are there even now, after devastation, whatever devastation they have done, can supply the whole China and India the sweet production, sweet demand. So like that, we have to find sustainable, already present, and the nature which actually protects and keeps giving you. In fact, I have planted 80,000 of this fishtail palm in the last 4 months in near Telangana, where there is almost no rain, actually. Very little rain you get. But now we have 80,000 of this in a matter of another 3-4 years. Each plant gives me 20 kilos of palm sugar every day for 4 months. Imagine the huge amount of wonderful sugar that I have created without any natural resources being consumed. You see, and that's how the millets fit the bill, because I have calculated and told you, 1 year production of rice I can sustain for 30 years. What it means is that if I can produce for 1 billion people with the same consumption of water, I can produce food for 30 billion people. And we have land, because this land is freely available, which we are not using. It is just being wasted. So any part of the planet, we can start producing this food. So with the increasing technologies, we are actually making things worse. But with the increasing technologies, we can make our life easy, very easy. So even the roadside can be food producing area for you, which we are wasting all over the world. So these are the kinds of fine tuning that we have to do. And in fact, I have calculated just Indian consumption of water to produce the rice, the way we're producing wheat and rice, we can actually produce food enough for 23 billion people. 23 billion people. And imagine African continent holds this principle, you can produce for another 25 billion people. So we have enough on this planet, only our methods are not right. Consuming methods we are embracing. So we have to shift that to conserving culture. And on the same breath, I would use another 2 terms, economic model to ecological model. So distributing local and decentralized production methods and decentralized food patterns, decentralized cultural habits will certainly answer your question, instead of going to concentrated, centralized GMO methods, which are actually not sustainable because they are undecidedly inconsistent. Till today, we have now the milk production is failing. You know that? Because the cows, the JF cows, the HF cows are giving away. Their health is falling apart. They actually die very fast. The regular natural cows can live 30 years. These guys are dying off in 10, 15 years. So the production cost is going to be much more in the coming years to produce the same amount of milk. So all these problems I have calculated on a global level, all these imbalances. So with actually, I have not used any technology, no computers and all. I just sit and calculate with my hand and brain, all these things. So if we use, of course, these things have to be refined and much more accurately done with the high-end intelligent and more good computers, and then more models and all that. But for me, it is very clear that we have a path here which we can embrace. Ecological models, conserving models have certainly got the answers for all the questions that we are raising now. And this is one of the most important questions that everyone has in mind. Can we produce enough? Yes, we can.
Thank you very much. I request Professor Aurora, if Ms. Sunita allow, there are some questions in the chat box, if you may address those.
Yes, sir. So before that, I just wanted to say on your question, on what you asked, that means that entire approach has to be modified of
Yes.
looking at things. So that means the ideology also has to change. The mindset of people has to undergo a change, a radical change. And
Yes.
it leads to, like, it is with regard to producers, it is with regard to consumers, it is also with regard to middlemen. They have to change their mindset to accommodate the model that you are suggesting, and wherein we have been accepting that this centralized method is very sustainable. We are going with this myth as of now. So
Yeah,
this
I
model,
want to add the word scientific myth.
but then who will break it, sir? You have already broken it at your level, but then we are talking about the global level and the consequences of it. So that this ecological model that you are suggesting, it has to be propagated. I think propagated and awareness is the only thing, because when big people understand it, it can be upside down or downside up, like whatever way we can implement it. Top bottom approach will also work, and both the approaches will work, but then it has to be done starting from the awareness level.
I
Yes,
want to
sir.
intercept here.
Yes,
From
sir.
top to bottom doesn't work, because top is embracing the centralized model.
Mhm.
So we have to work from bottom up. So the awareness to the people is the most
Okay, sir.
important step. Yeah, I mean,
So
that's
this
my
brings me
opinion.
to, yes, sir. This brings to a very interesting question. Who are the players who need to be booked for doing the wrong things, sir? Direct, like,
No,
whom,
there is
like
no
10
booking,
if
madam. No. You are actually you have to change your mindset. There is nothing like one fellow has committed crime. We are
no,
all
sir, like
party to it.
GMO thing has been coming up. No, GMO is
Yeah.
all
So yeah,
propagating in a very
yeah,
yes,
it
sir.
is happening. The technologies do spread fast. I am not denying that, but it is only the awareness that will put a break. See, I alone have eaten the nature's reserves for the last 30 years. I have done this consciously. That means if you have used in 1 year, I have taken 30 years. And if everyone starts following this, we create that sustainability. And it has to come by awareness. And you cannot bring it from top to bottom, because top is the example for centralization. See, top is always central. When they want to do everything in a centralized fashion. So you cannot go to Pradhan Mantri Modi ji and say, hey, no, we don't want this. What it means is we don't want you. See, in my life, I don't want him. I mean, I just don't. I mean, I'm not talking about Modi. I mean, I'm telling all centralized things. See, to produce my food, and I don't need anyone. So to produce for a village to produce food, but they don't like that. They want to decide everything, So
yes,
so I have denied centralized format of modern day living. For the last 30 years, I have been living like this. And now to be happy and to declare in South India and off late, even in North India, many people are following me. I mean, it's not to, I mean, this is a fact. So that's why I'm mentioning it. So I believe thousands and thousands of people are following. And if they have started for the last 10, 15 years, over a period of time, the telling effect of this will be seen. As I mentioned to you in my lecture, that 100 butterflies flap their wings in Mexico, you will see the impact in India. I mean, that's going to happen. It's only a matter of transmission, transcription, and then transferring things, and it will happen because we are all connected. We are all connected, and it will hit somewhere or the other each and every thinking person who believes in conservation, not believes, he has to come to this. Maybe the so-called corporate people are aware of it, but they are stuck in this. So there is nothing like punishing and this and that. It's a matter of slow realization and awareness taking over our actions. So it is the awareness that is very important, and we need to work towards creating awareness, and that is the real solution.
Thank you
No,
very
we
much.
don't show fingers at each other. That's the point.
No, sir, sir, because it is like a little revolution that you have created, but it is at an individual level. So
I
some
agree, madam. If
after
it is
some
real
years,
truth, it will
it
find
has
its
to
way.
reach to the top level also.
Professor Arora, if you
Yeah.
please kindly allow the people who are asking
Yes,
question
sir.
and raise hand. My
Yeah,
apology
please.
to speed up.
Yes, Miss Sunita, please ask your question.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Dr. Khadar, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. I'm fortunate that I've met you in Dubai. And millets has now really become craze even here, as you said that Sharjah and Dubai are now, even cultivating it. So it's revolutionized you. You are a global person, no longer just millet man of India, but I would say millet man of the world. So it's my question, sir, is I have a friend of mine who's just been told last week that she's got osteopenia, and she was almost in tears because they put her on lots of medicines and calcium supplements, and she already had calcification some time ago, but she's so lost in all this thing that even when I asked her to take consultation with you because she's based in Bombay, she's like, I don't want to see doctors, I don't want to, she's gotten to that frame of mind that
Yeah, shell. She has gone into the shell. Yes.
yeah, and I'm like, there are other doctors that are, but she's like in such a cocoon. So I really don't know what to do. I just thought, okay, let me just see if you can, I'm part of both your groups, but I thought this is a great forum. Osteopenia, she's got, and her husband has got tremors. He was a heart attack patient 10 years ago, and now he's getting left hand tremors and memory loss. So is there anything for these two of them that I can?
Absolutely, madam. The PDF, if you have had already got in your hand, you can actually see Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. There is a protocol for her husband.
Okay.
And in fact, she can just get to bone cancer protocol. Doesn't matter the names, okay? That will simply pull her up in a matter of 6 weeks.
Oh, okay. Okay, excellent. Bone cancer. Okay,
and
fine.
yeah, and she has to get up in the morning and see the rising sun. In fact, that is the 90% of the solution for her problem. In fact, it is the vitamin D that's gone haywire almost everywhere in the world. So if everyone gets up and sees the rising sun for 15-20 minutes, all this, it's a vitamin D metabolism is the essence of all these bone problems. And we are screwing it up because we think vitamin D can be fortified by milk, fortified by this, fortified by injections. Absolutely not going to work. So the real solution is preparing vitamin D sincerely within your body. And that can happen when you take natural oils, coconut oil or sesame seed oil, 2-3 spoons, and walk in the sun, especially the rising sun, who is very pleasant, doesn't harm anything, and instead he will give you life in its true sense. So vitamin D, without vitamin D, there is no real health, there is no immunity, there is no, many biochemical reactions do not happen properly, and we are screwing that up, and that is the essence for all our problems. So let them do this. In a matter of 6 weeks, she will start feeling better, and in a matter of 6 months, she'll be completely out of the problem. I guarantee that.
So much, doctor. And the oils that you've mentioned, sesame oil, she needs to take a teaspoon, a tablespoon, or?
Yeah, 2-3 spoons, good enough, because the layers of our skin is what produces vitamin D from cholesterol. So these oils supply the small amount of, especially in the morning hours in India. If you are in America, you can go anytime because the sun is not very strong. And no one should go to in Dubai and no one should walk into the sun. Only rising sun or the evening sun is required. And because especially in Gulf countries, afternoon suns are very dangerous. You will have sunstroke. And even in India, some places it is the same case, like Vijayawada, Guntur. That's why I'm very clear. And all that information is clearly mentioned in all the books. Sunrise is a very important part of our life, which everyone should start inculcating into their lifestyle.
Yeah,
And
B12
it's a very
and-
simple disease. Madam, this is a simple disease. People are making it to be a big thing, and it's
Yes.
not. It is very easy to get out of these issues.
Doctor, please come to Dubai again. I mean, you had only one trip. You need to come now.
Yeah, please do welcome. I mean, I will come. You have to call me.
I will organize something and you come.
Please, please.
Thank
And
you.
it's nice, pleasure to hear your voice. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And all the protocols are in your hands. Just you go through the PDFs.
Anyone else for the question?
There are some questions in the chat box.
Please, please,
Can
please.
you please ask,
please.
or I should repeat? Professor Aurora,
You can repeat, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
thank you very much. One of the question from Miss Priyanka is, hello to respected sir, madam. My brother is suffering from chronic kidney disease with high blood pressure and creatinine. What
Creatinine. Yes.
creatinine? What shall be done?
Yeah, there is a protocol. In fact, that is the first protocol, dialysis, DIALYSIS. So if you have high creatinine and kidney, the nephrons are not functioning, you need to get into that protocol. There are actually many people who are going through dialysis have come out of it. One important technique that you need to use is the decoctions of various leaves in that order to follow, and then consume barnyard millet more and fermented porridge. Actually, it is vitamin B12, which is very essential in replenishing, regenerating neurons as well as nephrons, because they take the longest time to be replenished in our body. Say hemoglobin, 3 months you get it up. Whereas nephrons and neurons which are damaged have to be replenished with new cells. It will take almost 7 years. So the functioning of vitamin B12 in these biochemical processes is very crucial, and we have disturbed our microbial balance. Hence, you need to take fermented porridge. That is called khameer in Hindi and Urdu, and in our southern Indian language, it's called ambali. So you replenish the microbial gut microbes, then the regeneration of these nephrons becomes very easy. This is one-to-one easily connected physiological factors. So we have been damaging our gut microbes by using pesticides, antibiotics, steroids in the name of medicinal pharmaceutical companies. They have been pumping into our body all this. So we are slowly killing all our microbes. So by taking ambali, that is fermented porridge, and we have actually all the methods how to cook ambali. We have got a book, cookbook called Pakasri. All the things are detailed, and in fact, many videos are being fed on YouTube by my daughter, Millet Magic Dr. Sarala. If you press how to make ambali, it will come. So the CKD patient takes ambali for 6 weeks, 50% of their problems are solved. And in a matter of 6 months to 1 year, many people have come out of this trouble.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kadir. I have a simple solution, if you may allow, which is actually proved. My dear sister who asked this question, you may try, and I'm sure that you may be benefited. The 3 things, you take 6 liters of water,
Yes.
put it in a pot, and then put, if the lemon is small size, take 6 lemon, cut it into small pieces, and then you take 300 grams of coriander leaf,
Yes.
Which we call dhania pata, in
Yes.
India also. And then cut it in pieces after washing, put it in the water along with the lemon cut piece, and then you add misti jeera,
yes,
1 tablespoon in 6 liters of water. Boil these all 4 ingredients: water, lemon, coriander leaf, and misti jeera. Up to an extent, 6 liters of water comes to the 4 liters of water.
Yeah.
Up to that extent, you boil, and
Yes.
then once you keep it for cooling down, you smash it.
Yes.
Make a thorough smash and clean it, and then you keep the water in refrigerator. Every night, 1 glass of water you take, you will see the urine would be most
Yes.
unpleasant smell, meaning kidney has a real problem, and the cleaning
Yes.
of the kidney is started.
Yes.
Now you continue till the urine smell is in a pleasant way.
Yeah, normal.
Normal.
No.
That means
Yes.
the kidney is completely clean.
Yes.
And you do this periodically, you will see the kidney test. There is a significant improvement.
Yes. So these are called plans, diet plans, which will improve you in short period of time. But then you continue to eat rice, wheat, and meat. Again, the same thing will restart the problem. So the protocol that we have used is almost permanent cure, and you will never get back into this diseased conditions. So yeah, that quick reliefs and are all very much important, and many people we suggest in our clinic. In fact, one of the Boyer-Havia diffusa, one of the plant decoctions, actually does the same trick. In a matter of week, you get start feeling better and better. So we have all that, but we are providing in the form of protocols a permanent, sustainable cure, permanent healing.
Thank you very much. Dr. Anayat Karim, he was asking, I think it is followed by my question. What kind of solution do you have to minimize this issue for this world? That means feeding 7.5 billion or 8 billion people in future. Is this millet production are reasonable to subside the rice and wheat production?
Yes, answer is a thumping yes. And there is no other solution. This is the only solution.
Yeah, but still I have a question. I mean, first of all, I would like to say wonderful, very impressive.
Thank you,
so, yeah, you're welcome. So what kind of, I'm trying to say, the regional wise, like for India, the second
Yes.
largest population wise. So did you apply your method in India, and how was the progress?
Yeah, we are doing a lot of good things. I mean, a lot of people are shifting. And in fact, a day before yesterday, I went to a farmer's belt where they grow paddy rice. That means there are owners which own 100 acres, 200 acres, and they all use these modern techniques and producing rice. And we went and had a discussion, this awareness program for more than 4 hours. And at the end of the session, there were 10 farmers who wanted to shift and produce millets instead of rice. I mean, so that's the way we need to get the job done. And slowly, and we have now thousands and thousands of farmers who are producing millets, which were extinct because no one was talking about them. So for the last 25 years, I have been running around all the country and trying to create awareness. And I believe I am very successful because now I am talking to you. You are in different continent. So, I mean, there is a good impact being generated. And I hope it's not just my job alone. Everyone on this planet have to start thinking. And then if you find this method is good, I believe you also should be part of this campaign.
Thank you very much, Professor Vali.
Thank you.
Next question, Professor Amanat Ali. Any food that releases glucose slowly in the blood stream is good.
Yes.
That's why we have developed the concept of determining the glycemic index for food. How we are going to feed the 7 billion world population with only one millet population production? Sorry.
No, millets are actually, there are around right now we can produce 15 different kinds of millets depending upon the local areas and all that. Actually, I'm actually clubbing them and saying these are 5 wonderful millets. And so each millet is different. So the diversity is maintained, unlike rice or wheat. That's the first point. Second point is that we can actually feed with the natural resources that are available despite keying into the global warming conditions. And in fact, if the global warming picks up the speed, you can only grow millets, nothing else as food, actually. That is another important point that we all have to realize. And keeping that also, that means future conditions also keyed into food production, your rice and wheat is going to just fall on apart. Absolutely no yields will be there. If another 2 degrees centigrade, you cannot produce rice anymore, period. Just period, complete full stop. So you better realize this physiological and important botanical fact. Genetically, these grains are designed by God. Good for us, lucky for us, that I have revived them for the last 25 years. If we were not revived, we would have lost the seeds completely. So that's how I believe there is a design, and this is how it has to happen. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, it's all, I'm just conjecturing all this. But certainly with African countries get into and have a planned production of this food, just African continent is good enough to produce enough food for 25 billions. In fact, by 2060, if things go like this, we will be around 17 or 18 billions. So I hope before 2060, we all become wiser and then make things happen in a better way. So I in fact calculated these small term time periods also. So by 2060, I hope the awareness increases and we pick up the speed, and the consuming culture receives the back end, and we are in the front end of the driver's seat, and the conserving culture takes over the world. And that's how I have a vision. In fact, that's what I dream every day. I mean, this is both daydreaming or in the night also.
Thank you very much, Professor Vali. And the follow-up comments and subsequent questions from Professor Amanat Ali is, I have to look at the papers published in this subject. Professor Ali, actually, we did not get the permission just before this webinar. We got the permission to share his publications and books that have been shared with us. We will be sending it to our people. So you will,
please.
The next question from Dr. Amanat is, of course, we can produce food, but what about this distribution that it reaches to the people where it's required?
Yeah, we can produce the food where it is required. So there is no need for distribution. We only need to take the seeds there. That's as simple as that.
Okay, thank you. I have so many questions, but unfortunately my sound system is not working. This is unfortunate. We cannot hear from you. Again, he is asking, please send us your publication studies. So as long as Professor Amanat Ali, he is actually head of the department for our nutrition department. Is it okay if you please share some of your publications in addition to the book that you shared with us, so that we can circulate it to all of the people? Even we can upload it in our system, the global people. It would be open access if you allow us.
Yeah, please. It's free. It's free for everyone. And in fact, it is this knowledge is there to be shared, not to patented. You see, that's my catchline. It's.
Thank you so much.
And the problem is the centralized corporate food culture is not willing to publish my work. They're not going to publish.
They will never.
So it is organizations like yours which have to come forward and take the baton up front and then do something. Yeah.
So thank you very much. Is there any possibility of generalizing your...
Like
Sorry? again, question from Professor Amanat Ali.
Please,
Is
please
there
continue,
any,
sir.
Professor Aurora, are you telling something?
No, sir, please continue.
Okay, thank you. Is there any possibility of generalizing your hypothesis? I would say this is now theory to feed the world population and keeping them healthy.
Yeah, we have worked out in big level, big groups, big stages. I mean, in South India, it's happening. I mean, crores of people are following and getting well, and I don't see any reason. And in fact, I have been receiving. Of course, it is a single-handed work that I am doing. Many people from Dubai, Sharjah, America, many people are calling and saying that they are getting better. In fact, disabled kids and autistic kids are also getting better. In fact, they're able to speak who are not able to speak. So we have touched many of the diseased conditions of modern day living. And I certainly believe this is a model that will work. And I strongly need big organizations trying to prove what I am saying. And I am sure, because many people have started doing that and all are coming up with very good results. And so I'm very confident this will work. And the consuming culture has to shift to conserving culture, and only millet production, millet consumption, and millet distribution. I don't like the word distribution, but initially distribution has to happen because people have to be convinced to produce. So I have done my part. I've gone to Nigeria and distributed the seeds, and the agriculture departments have started growing there. So I've gone to America. In fact, I have given to my friends, and in fact, America doesn't need, because they have it, everything, but they don't want to use it. That's a separate issue. So it's a matter of changing our perception and changing the awareness. This technology is geared up, rather primed to be local as well as universal.
Okay, thank you. I think we are running out of time. We have several more questions, so let me just read it, and if you can please summarize those to answer in a shorter form. Dr. Reis Hamid, he is our one of the principals for our NSRIC International School in Toronto project, a very vibrant person. Hi, sir, but it has been found the patient hardly survive after dialysis. Is not there any other way besides dialysis? Regards. One of our guests here, Raghav, thanks a lot, sir. The patient needs to take care this in the morning or night. I think you are addressing my recipe. I don't know if it is me. Then after taking dinner, just before going to the bed, so that whole night the kidney can be filtering by these drinks. If it is Dr. Vali, you can now ask the question, please.
Yeah, the protocol has to be followed day in and day out for you, the dialysis protocol. And we also suggest the cot that you are sleeping is elevated 3 to 4 inches, and you keep your legs on the top and then the head down, so that the blood flows easily. The gravity helps your kidney being cleaned. That is another technique we use regularly for all CKD patients, chronic kidney diseases. So we have had wonderful successes. Out of 100, we have had at least 80, 85 people getting better and better. This is a percentage I'm talking about. And the patients who are better are running into thousands. So it is working. It is working for many, many people. So you sincerely, and your method is also very important. In fact, we have also found another leaf called Bohirhavia, just like you said, Dhania ka patta. We have this Bohirhavia in our areas, which does wonders in 1 week time, 1 week, 10 days. So the same thing, as you mentioned, you need to make a decoction and consume it every day in the night it works. So a lot of these local procedures and local methods are being discovered because we have killed these local methods in the name of allopathic medications.
Thank you very much. Now again from Dr. Amanat Ali, yes to millet, but it's not going to meet the nutritional needs of the people. I think this is a good question. How it will address the requirement of the nutrition value for the survival.
Yeah, nutrition wise, there is nothing better than these millets, 5 millets. I mean, you can go and see all the information that we have in the present day scientific grain technology or whatever. These 5 millets come out on top, absolutely on top compared to any other grain. So nutrition wise, in fact, I consider that the whole WHO has to declare that to improve the malnutrition all over the world, minimum of this much grains to be given, even in this centralized fashion. If they really want to serve the problem of malnutrition, this is the only way we have left.
Thank you very much. Sorry, I do here. I do not see any more questions, rather some comments. So, Professor Aurora, please.
Sir, before I take leave, I want to thank you all for providing me this platform, and especially you, the person who is conducting all these deliberations, and other team people and the august audience who have given me good hearing. Thank you all. Thank you again.
Thanks a lot. I think we do not have that much. There is a person who raised hand, though we wanted to adjoin. Please go ahead.
Hi, Professor Nanlal.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I thought I
sorry,
raised the hand. So sorry.
Pam,
So sorry.
you, she should be asking the question.
No. I don't intend. I'm sorry. I had to interrupt in between. Can I go ahead?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, just I in fact missed much of the session, and some joining technical issue, but really thank you, Dr. Khadar, Professor Manuel. Really, it was such an enlightening session, whatever little I've attended, and thanks to Sunita, she's the one who has prompted us to join. So really thanks, Dr. Khadar. One problem that I'm facing, or I foresee in this particular propagation of this idea, the millet revolution, is that while there are health organizations, where there are small time maybe entrepreneurs in Chennai. I live in Chennai, and I see some small time entrepreneurs running some restaurants, which are millet based or based on red rice and maybe black rice, the healthier options in Chennai. So one is Prem's Grama Bhojanam. I think they are based out of, they are from Karnataka, but which part of Karnataka, I wouldn't know. Yes, and there's another couple of commercial organizations like Millet Magic. So I somewhere see that the reach is not as much. So are there enough people approaching you for this business? Because I think this is the way to popularize it amongst IT and amongst office goers like me who eat 3 times meals outside. So I think that's something which is missing.
Yeah, things are happening, madam. Basically, in Bangalore, the so-called IT center of India, many IT companies are actually having kiosks. Millet food is being served on a daily basis, 3 times like that. So it is happening. It's a matter of time, I believe, and it's all that everyone has to start thinking and start spreading the word. Yeah, I guess that now time is ripened, because 2023 is declared as a millet year of International Millet of Years, year of millets. So I hope the pace is going to be picked up in the next 2 years, this and next year. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Doctor, it's so nice talking to you.
Sorry,
thank you so much. Thank you.
And the session is recorded, so you can watch, I guess. They're going to.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah,
that will be great. That will be great.
We are sorry we cannot take any more questions, except only one question from Professor Prem Nandalal, who is our Director HR Unit.
Hi, Professor Khadar. A pleasure. I'm from Trinidad and Tobago. And it was really interesting hearing from you. Wonderful lecture. I have a question about the children. How are we going to get this message to the kindergarten, to the little children? They're going to change the world. How are we going to introduce this so that they understand it? And the next generation and the next generation, it becomes part of the solution to diabetes and to
Yes.
kidney failure. We have to get the message to the children. And
Yes, sir.
how
Actually,
is it in curriculum? Is it in videos? How are we going to do it?
Yeah, actually, the curriculum part is not the right procedure because the curriculum is sabotaged by these corporate companies. So we need to get to the people directly. So I have actually visited 3,000 colleges in the last 5 years. Colleges where the young people, age 15 to 25, because they are the next generation that are going to practice. And to get to kindergarten and then talk about these big issues is not a practical solution. So let them grow till the age of 15, 20, and then we need to actually concentrate on this age group and keep giving them information whatever way we can, either conducting big sessions. And in fact, just the last before Sunday, I visited a college where there were 900 pharmacy students that are allopathic pharmacists going to be. And we had actually, after the end of the session, more than 50% of the kids, that generation, said they're going to shift to millets. So this is how I take up the challenge, and I have visited almost around 2,000 to 3,000 colleges. And next Sunday, I'm visiting Central University of Hyderabad, where 1,000 kids are going to be attending my session. So that's how we need to do. And everyone, every professor, every person who has got this awareness has to start doing that. Of course, I can only request it has to come as a passion to improve the sustainability of the planet.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. So our apology, we are already out of time, so we cannot take any more questions. I request Professor Aurora to take over.
Professor Khadar, Dr. Khadar, I want to say thank you again, but when Christopher Columbus discovered the Western Hemisphere, there was a theory that the world is flat. He proved that the world is round. And so your research is like that. People are thinking it may not have the solution that you're looking for, but given time, given space, given the education of the children, the young people, your vision for millet and for solving health problems and for feeding the world and the immigrants and so on will come to fruition, and that you will leave this legacy of changing the diet of the world to become healthy. So we will follow your career, we will follow your research, incorporate some of the things in our curriculum, and we want to thank you again for this wonderful lecture that you have so passionately and so fruitfully presented. May Bhagwan give you a lot of blessings. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you
I
so
take
much,
leave of you.
Professor Vali and all the audiences. Actually, Professor Prem Nandalal is the director for our sustainability Center for Sustainability. So he is also the chair for our entire curriculum for university and for the school to feed the sustainability as a course in every grade. So he is a real asset for us. So as he mentioned, we look forward with Professor Vali to have a comprehensive, fruitful, collaboration so that we can promote Professor Vali's effort to serve the mankind. And as a guest who are here today, we also welcome you to join our NSRIC forum. With this, I wanted to conclude the workshop webinar session today. Thank you very much. Stay safe.
Thank you. Can I just say, I also want to add to,
Yes, ma'am.
to what
Please.
the professor said, that Dr. Khadar tirelessly attends patients. He and his daughter have revolutionized the millet industry. I've been following him for now a couple of years, and my goodness, the number of thousands and thousands of testimonials of people who've recovered from diseases that are supposed to have been incurable is, and I cannot tell you, because I'm part of that group. And you know, he's like a knight in shining armor in our lives. So thank you, sir, and may God bless you. And we're all with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Indeed, you are right. You are true. So we hope that, and God bless him with happy and long life. Thanks a lot.
Good night.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Bye bye.